What he said about morality, Niccolo Machiavelli. Where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great. Tardiness often robs us opportunity and the dispatch of our forces. Men shrink less from offending one who inspires love than one who inspires fear. Of mankind we may say in general they are fickle, hypocritical, and greedy of gain. One who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived. Men intrinsically do not trust new things that they have not experienced themselves. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Politics have nitrogen monoxide relation to morals. It is double pleasure to deceive the deceiver. Benefits should be conferred gradually, and in that way they will taste better. Men should be either treated generously or are destroyed, because they take revenge for slight injuries, for heavy ones they cannot. Since IT is difficult to join them together, IT is safer to be feared than to be loved when one of the two must be lacking. Men are so simple and yield so readily to the desires of the moment that he who will trick will always find another who will suffer to be tricked. What he said about power, Niccolo Machiavelli. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. When you disarm the people, you commence to offend them and show that you distrust them either through cowardice or lack of confidence, and both of these opinions generate hatred. IT is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. Nitrogen monoxide enterprise is more likely to succeed than one concealed from the enemy until IT is ripe for execution. Men rise from one ambition to another. First, they seek to secure themselves against attack, and then they attack others. I'm not interested in preserving the status quo. I want to overthrow IT. Princes and governments are far more dangerous than other elements within society. God is not willing to do everything, and thus take away our free will and that share of glory which belongs to us. What he said about war, Niccolo Machiavelli. War should be the only study of a prince. He should consider peace only as a breathing time, which gives him leisure to contrive, and furnishes as ability to execute military plans. War is just when it is necessary. Arms are permissible when there is nitrogen monoxide, hope except in arms. There is nitrogen monoxide avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of your enemy. You ought never to suffer your designs to be crossed in order to avoid war, since war is not so to be avoided, but is only deferred to your disadvantage. A government which does not trust its citizens to be armed is not itself to be trusted. Power is the pivot on which everything hinges. He who has the power is always right. The weaker is always wrong. A sign of intelligence is an awareness of one's own ignorance. Always assume incompetence before looking for conspiracy. Ability and perseverance are the weapons of weakness. Make mistakes of ambition and not mistakes of sloth. Develop the strength to do bold things, not to suffer. There is nothing more important than appearing to be religious. If an injury has to be done to a man, it should be so severe that his vengeance need not be feared. There is nothing as likely to succeed as what the enemy believes. You cannot attempt. Make nitrogen monoxide small plants, where they have nitrogen monoxide power to stir the soul. What he said about inspirational Niccolo Machiavelli. Never was anything great achieved without danger. It is much more secure to be feared than to be loved. The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. We cannot attribute to fortune or virtue that which is achieved without either. One change always leaves the way open for the establishment of others. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times. Appear as you may wish to be. Wisdom consists of knowing how to distinguish the nature of trouble and in choosing the lesser evil. In conclusion, the arms of others either fall from your back, or they weigh you down, or they bind you fast. Everyone who wants to know what will happen ought to examine what has happened. Everything in this world in any epoch has their replicas in antiquity. It is better to act and repent than not to act and regret. Nature creates few men brave. Industry and training makes many. For, in truth, there is nitrogen monoxide sure way of holding other than by destroying. God creates men, but they choose each other.